Preston, not so stiff.
Okay.
Tell us about your truck.
So this is my 1988 GMC V3500 named MOABY Dick. It's a factory 1-ton truck. So last year you could get the square body and a single cab. So it would have originally been a dually. It's no longer a dually. It's on 40s. Lockers front and rear, has an E locker in the front, a Detroit in the rear, 203, 205 doubler. Either 410 or 456 gears. I've never verified. It had the gears and lockers in it when I bought it. But with the 203, 205 doubler, you have 2-to-1 in each transfer case, and then the 410 one, and it has a SM 465 4-speed. So that's like a 6.7-to-1 if I remember right, first gear. So it has plenty of low range.
Why is it named MOABY Dick?
It's the great white whale. Great white whale of Moab.
It goes to Moab a lot.
Yes. It's a big block truck, factory big block truck. So it's the TBI injection. I'm about to swap the Holly Sniper on it though, because I'm having issues with the factory TBI. I did some custom long springs on it. Chevy 52s in the front from the rear section of a half-ton square body, and 63s out of the rear section of a 3/4-ton 90 Chevy.
These are junkyard springs we harvested.
Springs. I think I paid like 120 bucks for the rear springs. Probably 120 bucks for the front springs as well.
How when you got it, it was way higher, right?
Yeah, it was when I bought it, it had 13 inches of lift on it and a 38-inch tire. It's pretty ridiculous. I think it was just like probably rough country or tough country suspension lift parts. And I plan on rock crawling, not mudding, so I took all that out and did the long springs.
Well, yeah, the long springs gave you way better flex too.
Yeah, way better flex, a more comfortable ride, lower center of gravity. And to do it, you move the front perch forward, pretty much to the very end of the frame, and then you just use a longer shackle. So that's where you get your lift, because you're not using a lift spring at all, so you just use a longer shackle for your front lift. And then in the rear section, I have an Off-Road Designs shackle flip kit, and it's inverted, so you got the driver's side on the passenger side, the passenger side on the driver's side. That clocks it back, so you can run so that pushes it 5 inches rearward.
Let's go look at it.
So if you can see, it's like the bolt point is rearward of like the center of the bracket, and if you don't use a long spring, it'd be opposite, because this would originally have been the driver's side. And then to also do that, you have to move the front perch forward. Like, we just use the factory perch. You can buy an Off-Road Designs perch, I believe, but we just used the factory perch, just knocked out the rivets and moved it forward the 5 inches. So that made up the 10 inches difference, because this would have had about a 54-inch spring from the factory, if I remember correctly. And then the front would have been like a 48-inch spring from the factory. And you get the lift out of the shackle flip in the rear. You don't have to use a longer shackle.
Yeah, there's no lift springs on this. There's no lift blocks. It's all done with these long springs and the shackles that Preston's telling you about.
Yeah, and then this truck also has a 3-inch body lift, so that helps clear this spring. If not, I just have to do more body trimming, which I would have been okay with, but the truck had 10 inches of suspension lift and 3 inches of body lift, so it was like 13 inches of lift. It was
it flexed. It flexed like a shoebox.
Yeah, it didn't
when
flex
we
at
took
all.
it we took it wheeling the first time.
And it rode like a brick. Now it rides like a big old comfy cruise ship car. Rides like an Oldsmobile. But it also has put an onboard air system in it. It's a bi-air kit. It has like a 2.5 gallon tank and a 110 psi compressor on it. Caged it. This cage kit's from DIY 4x. Previously I had a Blazer, and everything I put on it was from DIY 4x, and I loved it. The kit was a little loose, but I mean, you can step across it, you can weld across it, I guess.
Yeah.
But we added, so the cage, when you buy it, it's just pretty much what you see that's DOM. This is stainless. We added this door kicker bar, and then behind the seat, we added that stainless too for a harnesses. Yeah. And then here's my triple stick for my 203, 205 doubler. This is the stick for the 203. That's just forwards low, middle's neutral, rearwards high, and then it's the same for these. This is the front, and this is the rear. Maybe I have that backwards. This is the rear, this is the front. So everything forward would be double low range 4-wheel drive. And with the 203, 205 doubler, or just any 205, you can do front digs. So you can take it out of rear wheel drive and just have front wheel drive. You can take it out of front wheel drive, just have rear wheel drive. You can do high range, low range, double low, low high. There's infinite combination you can run with the 203, 205 doubler. And then it's on 40-inch Pro Comp Extreme MT2s. I really like these tires. They grip good, held up really good. No chunking, no uneven wear. They have a 40,000 mile tread wear warranty on them, which is unheard of in like the mud tire world. And they're a super soft compound. They hook up really good.
And from my experience wheeling with Preston, he does not take it easy on anything.
And then for shocks, I'm running Bilstein 5100s front and rear. They do pretty good. I think I'd like to go to a little heavier of a shock because I do get some body roll. Something like bypasses would be nice. Eventually I want to link the front, but I don't think I'll ever link the rear because I love the rear setup so much. The only reason why I'd like to link the front is just so I don't have to pull away from climbing obstacles with the shackle. But
show us your,
it runs super comfortable.
Show me your air system.
Okay, so I got the air chuck just coming out the side of this toolbox. I put this toolbox in here specifically for my air system. And so it's a 2.5 gallon tank from Viair, and then it's got the compressor, all the relays and switches. It's automatic, so if it's hot to key and you have the switch on for the Viair system, it'll automatically keep the tank full. So you always have air in the tank. And then I did shorten this toolbox, I think 8 inches off the bottom of it, because I run a gas tank in the bed underneath the tank, underneath the toolbox, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got that toolbox used off of classifieds for cheap and just modified
the bottom it off and shortened it about, I think it was like 5 or 6 inches, something like that.
Pretty cool setup. In my opinion, it's way better than ARB's setup, and it's cheaper. If
you want, you can also run dual compressors on it.
Yeah.
I might do that eventually, because just to speed up air time, but I mean the single compressor does great. So no, I've never had an issue with it. I think I could do all 4 tires in about a half hour, so that's extremely impressive.
Yeah, but you get them clear down to like 8 psi too.
I go down to 8 and then all the way up to 35.
Yeah.
So.
Never popped a bead on this truck.
I've never popped
even on 8. Yeah.
But I'm running a skinnier wheel, so these tires are rated for a 10 to 12 inch wide wheel. I'm running a 9-inch wide wheel. That actively like keeps the bead pushed on to the bead. When you're running a 40, you don't really like notice any like tread wear issues when you're running a skinnier wheel. These might actually be 8.5-inch wheels, but either way, it's just a skinnier wheel to help the bead stay on. It's just kind of a cheap way to have bead locks, but not.
Yeah. Let's see. There's the Viair.
Yeah, that's the gauge and the switch.
Switch and gauge. You can monitor the air while you're driving down the road. You can turn it on and off. If you had air lockers, which Preston does not have air lockers, his is a e-locker. You could use it for that. The other thing eventually we're going to do on this is put a train horn, right?
Yeah, I want a train horn. It doesn't. So the factory horn just isn't there anymore, and I would like to have a horn.
Well, you need people to hear you coming.
Yeah.
Before they get ran over.
Yeah. So.
Pretty sweet truck. Now that you've showed us what's in the truck, tell me what you want to do to this truck next.
So what I'm doing next, we're gonna bob the bed about a foot out of the rear section, just this foot right here in between the tape, because I'm just like noticing on steep climbs mainly, not much departure, but on steep climbs I'm grabbing the rear bumper and just hanging my rear, like unloading my rear suspension. So I'm just like losing traction on some steep climbs. And while we do that, I'm gonna
we'll post a video about how we do that.
Yeah. So pretty much what it's gonna do, this section in between the tape's gonna be gone. This is gonna be welded to this, and then we're gonna have to shorten the frame that same foot.
Yep. Which puts the bumper basically right behind the shackle hanger.
Shackle hangers, like right against them. And then I'm wanting to do a boat side. I need to clock my 203, 205 doubler, just the 205, because it's clocked one position down, which is why I have such a low skid plate. When I bought it, the truck had the 203, 205 doubler in it, and since it had so much lift on it, they clocked the 205 down to have a better drive shaft angle. But I, having lowered it effectively 6 inches, don't need that clock anymore. So I'm going to clock it back up, and pretty much it'll not be a complete flat belly, but I can get a much more slender skid plate.
Yeah, we'll definitely do away with the turtle shell underneath there.
Yeah, it hangs me up on quite a bit of obstacles, but
I've never seen it stop you.
No.
You're on that skid plate. Let's see. For all you square body purists, we're sorry, but this truck, this cab and front clip were pristine when Preston got this truck. They're still extremely nice. The floor pans are like solid as you could possibly
the passenger side
ask for.
The passenger side has a little bit of surface rust, like a heater core leak, but like no rot at all in the entire cab. Other than the cab corner I smashed. That cab corner had a little rust in it, but I smashed it and I cut it off. So
we could have fixed that, you know.
Yeah, but I was gonna cut it off anyway for sliders.
Cool.
So we also did the exhaust on it. The exhaust was just bailed out in a random spot, and I think we were having clearance issues with it, if I can't remember right. But we just did from the manifolds back. It's just a super simple. I think it's 3-inch exhaust.
I think you bought a bend kit off Amazon, right?
I think I bought a 2.5-inch bend kit off of Amazon. It's True Rules. Have a no-name muffler on it. It's based off of like the MagnaFlow Super 10 series. It's like obnoxiously loud, but it sounds good. And then so we put a Badlands winch on it. It's not the Apex. It's just the Badlands series 12K winch. It's tucked up in between the frame rails underneath the radiator. It's like all I have hanging out is the fairlead. I just did that because I like the factory bumper. Kind of keeps some factory look to the truck, and it's a nice place to put it, so it's not just hanging out at the front.
Fire that thing up.
I'll fire it up.
Show me the low range possibilities.
into neutral, front stick in low, and so that would be that's essentially a front dig. You could do it in like high range too, but I don't know how you'd be doing a front dig in high range.
Turns the truck into front wheel drive basically.
Yeah.
And the reason you'd want to do that is to
Tightly make a turn.
yeah, turn
Or
this.
to position yourself on an obstacle.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons, but turns in obstacle positioning, the main reasons to do a front dig. And then this is my E-locker. It's an E-locker. I haven't really had any issues with it. Disengagement sometimes is difficult, but as long as you're on, like as long as your wheels are straight, it normally disengages all right.
Cool. Well, thanks for showing me your truck.
No problem.
Let's go cut it out.